Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. And this morning, my friends, we have what? You guessed it. We did it again. No, you did it again. We have an amazing community of absolutely, first of all, lots of incredible women and men. Fellas, don't feel left out just because the women are rocking it right now. Um, but a mom, okay, somebody who had a very fun Halloween last night, as did I, okay, also has a baby. And so she is very busy. We're going to find out how she's fitting this into her life and is also a little bit sleepy because of that baby. And we all know about those challenges as well. So that makes me even more curious to know how she's doing this and staying positive and finding the time to be able to do it. So with that being said, Allison, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
You got your coffee? Did you get a little caffeine in you here this morning?
No, not
No.
yet. I should have.
Wow.
My
Wow.
husband actually owns a coffee shop, so you'd think I would already
Totally.
have my coffee in me.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Even more power to you. So tell us where you're calling in from.
Well, I live in Newcastle, Oklahoma, just about 20 miles west of Oklahoma City.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Nice. Very cool. So Allison, tell us, how you found us. What were you looking for? Do you feel like you found what you were looking for? How did you get here?
Well, I don't even know where to start. I guess I saw a girl on Instagram like most people do, and I just kept watching her success over and over again. And at the time when I had seen her, I was already very involved in another business I was doing, and I just didn't have time for something else. And then I quit the business that I was doing, and I had all this extra time with kids. I had some spare time, and I was like, dang, I really miss making money, but I need something that I can do from home with a 4-year-old and a 7-month-old. So I just decided to go for it. I followed her for like 6 to 9 months, and then finally bought the $7 course, and the rest is history, I guess. I went all in.
That's amazing that you followed for 6 to 7 months. It's so interesting when we see people who, and I wonder if you have been like this at all or experienced this, where we start and we've been doing it for 2 to 3 weeks, and then we're like, well, I'm not where I want to be, not really realizing that our best customers may be watching and
Yeah.
just literally following us until they feel comfortable to move forward. Has that clicked for you to not only, of course, maybe wish that you started sooner, but also understand a little bit more about human nature and the fact that this is a long game, not I know this is cliche to say, but a get rich quick
Right.
deal. A business really is something where you build a relationship with customers over time.
Right. So, I mean, from now's perspective, I wish I had started whenever I first saw it. But from another perspective, I wasn't in the right place to start. Like my life wasn't in a place for me to start something like that. So I think everything does happen at the right time. Like I've had people following me, I've had my page for a little over 3.5 months now. And I've had some of my original followers who've been following for 3 months now, like sign up yesterday. So it just has to all in due time.
Yeah, yeah. So you've got some additional digital marketing experience from another business. You've even previously sold a course in another niche. Talk to us about what what that was, and also how you are now expanding your skill sets and your knowledge to be able to take what we teach or consider the core 4 ways to sell information, how you're taking now our curriculum and our strategies to expand your digital marketing abilities even further.
Yeah, so A little bit of backstory about like my business ventures. I've always been more of like an entrepreneurial spirit. I don't really like working for other people. So I've had multiple businesses in my 27 years of life. I had a photography business in college, and I transformed that into a wedding videography business. And then I was a teacher, which is what I went to college for education. And then I got pregnant and realized I don't want to be a teacher. I want to be a stay-at-home mom. So after I had my son, I quit teaching and decided to be a stay-at-home mom. And after I had my son, I quickly realized that I need to keep my mind busy in another way. I need like something to work towards. So I started a charcuterie business of all things. And it was kind of before charcuterie was all hyped up. Not everyone knew about it. So I definitely got on that train before it took off. And somehow that business absolutely blew up. It's just like all the fad. And I was one of the first people in Oklahoma to have a charcuterie business. So my page just blew up. I got that page to, I think, like 85,000 followers. And with that, Reels started becoming a thing. And I was growing, making Reels and such with that. So I created a course to teach other charcuterie businesses how to use Reels to grow your page. And that's the first time I realized how amazing passive income is. And I was like, okay, this is where it's at. I built a course, and now I'm just receiving these passive incomes every day. And I was like, that is where this is at. And then I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, and I had to make the really hard choice to close down my really successful business because I physically couldn't do it when I was pregnant. And I had the choice of hiring a bunch of employees to run it for me or shutting it down. And I decided to shut it down, which was a really hard choice. But now here I am, and whenever I wanted to find something new to do, I knew based off of that course that I wanted something that was passive, to where I didn't have to have employees. I didn't have inventory to stock and ship out, like all the things. I wanted everything to be digital and online, and didn't take very much time out of my day. Because the charcuterie, I had to keep finding people to watch my son, which kind of defeated the purpose of me being a stay-at-home mom. Like, it just turned into another job where I wasn't with him. So that was a really hard choice to make whenever you have a business bringing in so much money. But it's just priorities. But
well, you prove the model that, because I think, at least you said in the questionnaire, that you had made $45,000 from selling the charcuterie course.
Yeah.
And so you prove the model of selling information in digital products, which is what we teach and promote here at Legendary.
Yeah.
It's what I've been doing for the past 13 years. I've never sold a physical product. I mean, maybe a couple here and there, a couple of campaigns over the last 13 years, but everything else, every other dollar has been made from selling information in the form of courses, coaching, or events, or doing affiliate marketing for somebody's course, coaching program, or event. And so now, using your past experience from selling that charcuterie course, but also having to do charcuterie, and I understand where there was a physical element to that business that you could not continue to do while being pregnant, and you made a choice. How are you taking the fact that you've already proven the concept of selling information through the form of courses, one of our core 4 business models, in a unique niche as well, and now parlaying that into this chapter of your journey and you've chosen now the wealth building niche, it looks like, for a period of time. Why did you choose that niche? And where do you see this going in the course of the next 12 to 24 months?
Yeah. Um, I chose this niche because I truly had a passion for it. I think that's really important. I think a lot of people pick niches just because a lot of other people choose that and it's not something they're truly passionate about. But after selling my course on how to grow online, and I had a lot of people reach out to me on how to grow online, and they would come to me with their specific niches. Like people would take my course that weren't even in the charcuterie niche, and I would help them build their business on social media. So I already had this really big interest in helping other businesses grow in the virtual realm. Um, yeah, I don't know. It just like, it was a natural pathway for me. I saw the girl doing it and I was like, that's something I'm interested in. Like I could do that too. If she's doing it, there's no reason I couldn't do that as well. But I wasn't familiar at all with affiliate marketing. I piddled with Amazon affiliates with my other page, just minorly. But I didn't know the ins and outs of funnels, and I didn't have an email list with all of that business. I didn't even have an email list. So course really helped me build that. That was something I knew nothing about funnel building.
Really?
Yeah. I know, looking back, I'm like, why didn't I create an email list?
So you made $45,000 before in your charcuterie kind of niche, teaching other people how to build their presence online, and you weren't even using a sales funnel. You weren't even building your email list. Now I can see that, you're obviously kind of, as you said a few minutes ago, going all in here. You took our challenge, you're enrolled in our blueprints. I'm starting to understand now how you are adding these additional concepts and strategies to your business knowledge with the blueprints, going through, understand, and of course, starting with a challenge, understanding what a sales funnel is. How much has that opened your eyes to what is possible, having made 45,000 with the most bare bones strategy? Now that you understand how to build databases, email lists, right? Now that you understand how a sales funnel works and the difference between that and a website, now that you're learning also affiliate marketing and how to add that as an additional or even a starting stream of income to your business, how much has your excitement for this business model evolved from what you were doing before when you proved the concept back a couple of years ago?
Yeah, it honestly makes me kind of sick. Like the only way I was promoting that course was literally in my Instagram story saying, hey, here's the course that I've been talking about. Click this link and buy it. And that's how I made all of those sales. But if I had like a funnel and an email list and all of that, I was like, how much money could I have made if I had all that set up? It's insane. But yeah, the knowledge and the blueprints of just setting up the funnels, just that one section of the click by click setting up the funnels, I was like, this was worth the price. Just this section right here. It's gold.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad to hear that that's clicking for you. No pun intended. You have to do the clicking though. You have to do the work.
Right.
Talk to us a little bit about how you're also using just your good old work ethic, and talk to some of the new entrepreneurs who are transitioning from employment only to entrepreneurship. Help us understand what some of the most important additional skill sets, whether that be your work ethic, whether that be your ability to push through and just try something without having an exact answer to how it's going to turn out. How is entrepreneurship, and specifically what you're doing now, which is what so many of our students who are doing in our community are also doing, how is this different from maybe their jobs? Help them understand what entrepreneurship is, what it's been like, and what somebody can expect coming into this, both in terms of what's going to be required from them work-wise, but also mindset-wise.
Yeah, so much with this. It's different. You have to show up every day. You don't show up Monday through Friday and take a break on the weekends. It's an everyday commitment if you're all in. I think a lot of people get hung up on, I have to know everything to start. I got to know which niche I'm choosing to start. You don't. You don't have to have it all figured out to start. You just have to take one little step at a time. Like, I am so busy with my 4-year-old and my 7-month-old. I get work done here and there with the 15-day challenge. I would be folding their laundry, listening to the lessons. It's just chipping away at it little by little. I think people think, oh, I need 15 days to set aside to do this. No, like, just incorporate it into your life. Just take small steps every day, just small little steps, and eventually you'll look back and see how much progress you've made. Another big aspect of it is the feeling of discouragement and not having that instant gratification when you're putting in the work. It's not like a job. You're not going to work for a week and get the paycheck. You have to be consistent and have faith that in the future it's all going to come forward. I'm trying to think. Someone was posting in the Facebook group the other day saying that they've been at it for a little over a month and not having many followers, not having any traction. Let's see. My first month in, I had 45 followers. I had 5 email subscribers and 0 commissions. A month and a half in, I earned my first small commission. A month and a half showing up every single day, posting twice a day. Yeah, I got discouraged, but I kind of went into it knowing, like I told myself, I'm not going to make a commission this first month, but if I do, that's amazing. But I'm not going to expect it. And then I think 2 months in, I had 200 followers and 2 small commissions. And then after 2 months is when it really started taking off, and now I have over 45,000 followers, 3,500 email subscribers, and have had 3 high-ticket commissions so far.
You know, that reminds me of the old saying that I say a whole lot on this show is don't quit before the miracle happens.
Yes.
And we're not talking about a burning bush here, but we are talking about the fact that the majority of entrepreneurs, which is somebody who wants to be an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Not yet an entrepreneur, but wants to be an entrepreneur, takes their tombstone, meaning they dig their own kind of grave, as morbid as that sounds. And there's a whole lot of business dreams laying in this metaphorical graveyard because so many people quit too soon.
It's so sad. It is a mental struggle, though. Like, I understand where they are. Like, I totally get it. Like, I had those feelings of giving up and quitting, even though I knew in my mind I wasn't going to, but I still had those feelings. Even my husband, I think a month and a half in, and I only had like 50 followers. He's like, I think you should like start over your Instagram page. Like, something's not working. You need to like make a new one. I'm like, no, like, I know what works. I'm doing all the right things. The only thing I don't have control over is time. The only thing I don't have control over, and everything will happen when it's supposed to. And then sure enough, a week later is when a reel started taking off for me. It only takes one video. Only takes one. That video reached over 5 million people, and it just like flipped a switch in my business. It just takes one. And it might be tomorrow. It might be next week. You don't know when it'll be.
Yeah. You know, ClickFunnels and Russell Brunson has a saying that they've kind of coined because they're great marketers, which is you're only one funnel away. And I disagree. I think you're only one video away.
Right.
I don't think it's that. I don't even think it's that complicated. You don't have to make a bunch of funnels, right? You really just need the most simple funnel. You need if you're starting out with affiliate marketing, we teach the bridge page funnel. Um, it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to have colors on it. It just can be bare bones. You don't even have to give away an ebook. I mean, just so many people in our community have chosen to do that, and that's cool. I never gave away any ebooks on my landing pages for years. Just because a good curiosity driven headline with something to gain on the other side, sort of, we call it a blind offer, or a blind opt-in, where you're saying something to the effect of, discover how to start your first business online in the next 15 days, free video reveals exactly how to set it up in, a couple of hours, or a couple of days. And people, you'll be amazed. And so, surely giving away an ebook, surely giving away a free gift is another way to do it. But the bottom line is that one funnel is all you need. You don't need to keep changing that. But what you do need to do is transition as quickly as possible over to actually marketing that funnel. That's what people think, that if I set my funnel up, it's sort of like the concept that many people for many years thought, well, if I get my business cards printed and I get my website set up, I'm in business. And why am I not making money? Well, because your website is a island in the middle of a big Pacific Ocean online, and so is your sales funnel. Your sales funnel is just a better mousetrap. Now you need to go and start driving traffic to that funnel.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, is the thing that you've done really well, both in your previous charcuterie niche, but also now with this, which has enabled you to have a video that got 5 million views, and you've soared from 0 to 40 followers, is because if I can go to your Instagram profile, I can see that you've made 242 posts on that profile. That's the beautiful thing about Instagram. It may be the same on TikTok. I'm not even sure if you're on TikTok or not.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not on the TikTok.
Okay, so you've done 242 videos. So it's very important to point out. We had Chelsea Weeman at the mastermind event this last weekend, and she said, I've posted 1,000 videos. Look at my Instagram profile. I've posted 1,000 videos. That's 900 and usually 90 something more than most people when they're ready to give up. And it's like, it in some ways, it's so much simpler than what we make it out to be, because it really is a numbers game.
Really?
It's about consistently doing a certain amount of post every day. Some are going to do better than others. Some are going to flop. Some are going to soar. And those are the ones that, you can begin to repurpose. You can learn something from what made that really successful. What have you learned in terms of what works for your content, and why are you not on TikTok? Why are you exclusively focusing on Instagram?
Well, probably my main reason for TikTok, people are mean on TikTok, quite honestly. And I'm not the type of person that handles negative comments well. So much so I turned off all notifications to comments on my Instagram. I don't even read them in the slightest. I'm not saying that's the best move to make, but for my mental state, I can't look at that section. Get a good message responder, and then you don't have to worry about looking over there. I will say consistency is everything. If you're trying to post every day, but sometimes you post once and then the next day maybe you post twice, maybe 3 times, I say pick something, pick a number. Say, I'm going to post 2 times a day and stick with it, because Instagram's algorithm loves consistency. So if you're switching it up every day, you don't know what times you're posting, you're throwing off the algorithm. So choose how many times, stick with it. Whenever I first started, I was posting 2 times a day, And then whenever I started getting some commissions rolling in and got more comfortable making content in this niche, I bumped it up to 3 times a day, around 2 months. But I will say, even if you have a piece of content that doesn't get very many views, that piece of content still has so much value. So if you think about it, whenever you see a reel that's gone viral in your For You page and you click who it's from, you look at their page, don't you? You scroll, you binge through their content to see if it's someone that you want to follow. If your first 5, maybe it's your 5th video that you post, goes viral and someone goes to your page and doesn't see any content, there's a big chance they're not even going to give you a follow back because they don't see that value from you. So it's almost better to have all of this bingeable content that you've worked on for the last couple months ready. So whenever you do have that reel take off and go viral, you have all this bingeable content for people to look at, and then they will in turn more likely to follow you. So it's not wasted.
Yeah, very interesting. And do you also, are you also repurposing content, or have you yet started to repurpose, remake content that did really well before, such as the video that went, super viral? And are you starting to see how much you can leverage older material from your content library that you've already posted and did well, especially once you've dialed in your message?
Right. I haven't physically downloaded old content and uploaded it, but I will take content that I've previously made and recreate it in some way. Maybe it's like with a trending audio or a different trending audio, or maybe I take one that was a trending audio and I verbally speak it. Just switching it up in different ways. You'll see what performs better, like, oh, this text looks better here. People responded to this better. People had a lot of comments or questions about this, and you can talk more about that. And even when you're scrolling, just in your For You page, and you randomly stop on one, ask yourself, like, what made me stop on this reel? What made me stop my scroll to give this reel more attention? And it doesn't even have to be in your niche. Just as you're scrolling, you see something you're interested in, stop, think, why did I stop? And implement that in your reels too.
Yeah. There's so much to be learned from following people in not only your niche, but also in other niches. And I think so often we don't look outside of our own niche to kind of see what other people are doing that we can apply. And so we tend to start to feel like we need to sound and look like everybody else, instead of building our own brand, developing our own voice and message. What did you learn from your charcuterie niche business when you were creating content then, and then sold that course, that you're now using today? And how did you stand apart then, and how are you standing apart now, and not getting into a sort of comparison slash copycat kind of mindset where, because it's very seductive, right? You see something that somebody else is doing, and we have a tendency to want to copy it kind of word for word and not sort of add our own flavor to it, when that's really what makes us stand out. So what did you do back then that worked to stand out, and what are you doing now to stand out in an online world where, there are a lot of noises and voices, and that is the ultimate first step to this game, is getting somebody to stop their scroll because they see or hear something different.
Right. Yeah, with the charcuterie business, so when I started the business, reels weren't even a thing. So whenever they launched reels, I jumped on the opportunity. I was one of the first ones in the charcuterie niche, utilizing that. So And I think it has a lot to do maybe with my photography slash videography background. I just kind of have an eye for like good lighting and positioning, and transitions were a big deal with the charcuterie thing. Like I'd have a plate with no food on it and snap my fingers and food would appear. So that I
Right.
realized that is what those videos of me doing that really made my views skyrocket. So I just kept doing it and grew my page that way.
Yeah.
With this page, I noticed that there is a lot of the copying, which I know if you're like not in a niche that you're passionate about, it is a lot easier to copy other people because you don't know what to make. You don't have that passion of like, oh, I'm going to talk about this, I'm going to do this. So you're just like leaning on other people in the niche, like, oh, that's what they're talking about, so that's what I'm going to talk about. But what you're doing is creating like more noise, and if someone comes across your page and they've seen that before, like, hey, I've seen that exact video somewhere, it's almost off-putting to them. Like, they know you're copying, they know that's not genuine. We're called content creators for a reason. We have to create, not copy. That is one of my pet peeves, honestly. I actually had a section in my Reels course called Reel Etiquette. You don't take someone's exact voice script. I had someone do this with the reel that went viral in this niche. They wrote down my exact script and they recreated it word for word, and I was like, oh, that's just, people notice. Like, I had people comment on that reel and be like, oh my gosh, I saw someone post this exact same thing with the exact same words, and I'm like, yeah, not cool. But they get annoyed. Like, they don't want to see that. They think it's not genuine, and they're not going to trust you if you're not putting out something that's yours. They can tell if it's genuine or not.
Yeah. And this is probably, oftentimes we hear right on this show, well, people got, I got my account shut down or whatever. This is probably the number one reason why people are getting their accounts shut down. And here's how it happens is they do exactly what you just said, which is people see, they're scrolling through videos all day long on their phone. So they see a lot of videos. And when they come across yours and they've heard that video somewhere else, or they've heard it 5 times, they get, as you said, like a bad taste in their mouth, like it's off-putting. And I think that's a great word. They're not frustrated. They're not like they don't care. It's just off-putting. It's like, like
Again.
I've seen this again, right? And so they will report it, right? And you get enough reports on your profile or your content, and the robots on TikTok just, slap your account and put it in the queue to be reviewed, and maybe it gets to somebody, maybe it doesn't. Whereas if they come across your content, even if it sucks but it's original, they're going to keep scrolling versus report it.
Right.
And that's the big difference, is that it's better to suck with original content or suck with content that you're modeling after somebody. And there is a very big difference between modeling success and copying success in the content creation game. Modeling success is learning from somebody's lighting strategies, learning from somebody's, as you said, their transition. How are they create? It's sort of like the template of how they're creating their videos, but and maybe even the theme or the thought of their video or the point that they're making, but finding your own words, right? Using your own story. If they used a story about them and their dog, that might give you an idea about how you could use a story for maybe you and your kid or you and your dog. but it's about you telling your own story, making your own point, and putting your own spin and flavor on it. And I think that concept of understanding the difference between modeling and copying is extremely important. What comes up for you as I say this, and what would you add to that?
I mean, I think you're dead on. Plus, it's just, I always think about, like, what if you see that person in the future? Like, and you just have your ripped content on your page. I don't know. And I wouldn't, if I was doing that, I wouldn't have pride in what I'm doing, honestly. If after I finish Reels, I'm like, I'm proud of that. If that doesn't do good, that's okay. It's still a good Reel.
Yeah.
Just be proud of what you put out there, honestly. I mean, you can follow so many different niches, like you were saying, and like adapt a trend, see a trend that's, I don't know. It could be anything, just an idea, or like a trending audio, maybe in like the pet niche or something. Maybe you can adapt it to the money online niche. You just have to kind of think outside the box and don't just think there's this limited amount of content that you can make. If you look at these girls that are being successful, they're not copying other people. They are original content creators, and they come up with funny things and original things and things that stop the scroll.
Yeah.
But if you're copying them, you're not going to see the reward from that. They're going to see the reward from that, from making that original content.
Yeah. Yeah. You're almost lifting that person up and, kind of making yourself again look like a copycat. And that's never the place that you want to be. You want to be the person who is coming out with something original. And one of the most powerful lines that I've used in my career in marketing, in all of my sales videos, in all of my it is one of the most powerful concepts to say and use, and it is the idea of saying this is totally different than anything you've seen before. And the reason why I use that very specifically in a pitch video or a sales video, or even in a I try to frame everything that I do as something that you've never seen before. Even if when I kick off the show in the morning, I frame it as, most mornings I frame it and remind people that this is a show that actually interviews our students here at Legendary, which is something that's totally different than what every other guru and goblin's doing out there online, because the gurus are all interviewing other gurus, right? And not really talking about what it's like when they started. They're talking about what it's like 10 years later with each other and what their morning routines and rituals are now, not when they got started back 10 years ago, when they got up, rolled out of bed, and went right to work. Now they're meditating for 3 hours in the morning. They're going to the gym. They're all this. And it's like, but you weren't doing that when you started. So also the fact that most of our guests have never even been live before, just framing the show as, but it also is original, but reminding people that it's original, telling them that it's different than anything that they've seen before. And the reason why that's so powerful is because if somebody feels like they've seen something before in your marketing or in your content, it's almost like growing up. This is the analogy I love to use. If I came to school with a pair of Jordans on, which were very popular when I was growing up, they still are, but they were really popular because he was still playing back then. If I came to school with a pair of Jordans that other kids had seen before and other kids had, it was kind of like, I've seen those before. Danny has those, right? Whereas if I came to school with a pair of Jordans or a pair of Shaqs, right? I can remember the Shaqs with the big kind of like swirly black and white circles on them, or a pair of Ken Griffey Juniors, just something that was like nobody had seen before. All the boys would be like, dude, I ain't seen those before. And it was just it's the same thing with a purse, right? Like if you go out onto the mall and you see one of those Louis Vuitton purses that you've seen 1,000 times, we all love them, we all know them, but you're not going to be like, damn, what was that? You've seen it before, right? Because so
Yeah.
many ladies have that particular brand with the brown and the light brown pattern. The same thing happens with content. When they see something, I think the one thing that stops the scroll is doing something or saying something that they've not seen before, because you get that reaction of, damn, what is this? Right. And especially if you use or say a cliffhanger at the beginning, such as, this chapstick made me $100 today and I didn't even put it on yet. Here's how. What? Right? I just changed a poopy diaper. I need to go wash my hands. They smell like poop, but I made $1,000 doing it. Let me show you how. It's like, what? What did he just say?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those cliffhangers, and we can learn from the most successful every single show and movie, the original content creators in the world, starts their movies and their shows off the same exact way, with a cliffhanger, right? So we start to piece together these concepts that we're talking about, which is being original, not just copying people, even reminding people that we're different and what we're doing is different, even if it's really not, right? Even if it's really not, you still remind people that what I'm about to tell you is different than what you've seen before. And what's different about it may just be the way that you deliver it, right? And then we catch their attention by using very, very practical, simple, and obvious strategies like the cliffhanger, or as marketers call it, the hook,
Yeah.
right? At the beginning of our content, to draw people in those first few seconds. And then we tell our story, deliver our value, and give our call to action. What else would you add to that in terms of maybe calls to action that you're giving people that are working really well for you? Gaining followers in the growth stage and then beginning to make more sales. Like, help us understand a little bit how you're turning some of this traffic into followers and leads.
Yeah. So, like he said, the hook is so, so important. Think about it. When you're scrolling, you use that first 1 to 3 seconds of the reel to decide if you're going to keep watching it or not. So, that first hook is so, so important. And that doesn't have to be words, it could be like a fast movement at the beginning of it, some sort of bright color. I don't know.
A hat throw.
Yeah. It can be your words. It could be the words flashing really fast. Just anything to kind of just like make their eyes stop for a second. Like, what was that?
Right.
Then once you captured their attention, then you can like throw the information out there. But one of the most important things is at the end to have that call to action. I'm sure you've all heard of that, your CTA. Give them something to do. Tell them specifically what to do. Because after they finish watching the reel, they're like, okay, that was cool, next. No, if you tell them specifically, follow me, follow for more, or read caption for more information. And then, I mean, a lot of people just do as they're told. They'll do it.
That was one of the biggest things that came out of this last weekend at the mastermind, was what you just said, and hearing some of our speakers and successful marketers up on our stage saying exactly that. People need and even want to be told what to do.
Yeah.
They want you to give them instruction, direction.
Yeah.
And if you don't, they kind of will just keep on scrolling, keep on doing those. They're not, They're not arm curls, they're thumb curls. They'll just keep doing those thumb curls until somebody does give them a good enough video and reason to watch with a clear enough call to action.
Mhm.
And I think that's really important, is not telling people to do multiple things, understanding that people are simpler than we think. We are simpler than we think. They like to do, and they need to do one thing at a time. That's also the foundation of all direct response marketing, is one thing at a time. It's why we say one, it's why we give one clear call to action per video. When they click our link, we have one thing for them to do, which is come to our landing page and opt in. When they land on our bridge page, they have one thing to do, which is watch our bridge page video and then click the affiliate link or whatever link. If you're promoting your own course, coaching program, or event, one link that then goes out to that particular offer. And then when they go to that offer, it's not a website. Websites suck. They suck the life out of you, the business owner, and they don't suck money from your customers. Because why? Your customer has too many choices. So
Mhm.
they go to the website and they kind of click around and then they leave. No, from the bridge page, you go to an offer with one thing to buy. And then they check out. And guess what? If you have other things to sell them, you sell them that in the upsell funnel, right? They have one additional choice, because when's the best time to sell something? To somebody who just bought something a moment ago, right? Which is why they have at grocery stores the crap in the aisle when you're sitting there about to check out, because they know you're about to buy something, and the best time to add shit into your cart is when you're about to or just bought something.
Yeah.
And so, again, those clear calls to action in one thing at a time, that is such a simple yet powerful question to ask yourself as you're giving calls to action and with each step, because you have to think about the journey that you're asking somebody to take. Where is the black hole that they're stepping into and getting lost? And if you look at your stats, you will a lot of times see that, oh my God, I'm getting a lot of, this is why I don't like Linktree and all these things, because oh my gosh, I'm getting a lot of Linktree hits, but nobody's buying or opting into my list because you've got 10 things there.
Yeah.
And if they knew where to go, they wouldn't be clicking on your link. So you can look at your funnel statistics oftentimes and see where people are falling into a black hole. And oftentimes that's very simply because you gave them too many options there and they didn't know what to decide. Versus if you give them one thing to do and then their choice is, do I want to do that thing or not? Because if you have two choices there, then they have to actually make like two or three choices, which is, do I want to do what this person's asking me? And then what choice do I want? Which road? And their number one question is, what do you recommend? Right? It's kind of like going out to dinner when there's a bunch of things on the menu. What do we ask? Well, we ask the person that we're with, what are you getting? Or we ask the server, what do you recommend? Because there's too many choices. What's coming up for you as I'm talking about the overwhelm, not that we're feeling, but that we put onto our customer?
Yeah. I will say I used to have Stan Store in my bio, and then I recently switched it to just having a link to my funnel. Um, I had a few products for sale in my Stan Store, but then I was thinking, like, the amount of people that are coming to my Stan Store, if you think about the funnel, your content is like reaching your widest amount of people. Like, I have a vague interest in this. And then they give you your email. I have a little bit more interest in this. And then once you have them in your campaign, they're building more and more interest. You're getting fewer people, but you have higher interested people. And that's the place to sell your markups, I think, because I think it will perform better. Like, I had Instagram audits in my Stan Store where I'll go and tell you what you're doing right and wrong with your Instagram. But people who were just going to the link in my bio, they weren't ready for that. Like, they didn't have their business set up. They didn't have their page ready to even be audited, you know? So I've now added that to my email marketing campaign, and those people are ready. They have their pages. They've been doing this. They need help with their Instagram, and it does better there.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing takeaways. What have you learned about yourself recently, or what have you been reminded about what you are capable of in terms of starting this chapter of your journey?
You are capable of anything that you want to do. If I could say that to anyone, you can do anything that you want to do. The only one standing in your way is you and your mindset. If you see someone else doing something, there's nothing stopping you from doing the exact same thing. That's something my charcuterie business taught me. Like, these people that have hundreds of thousands of views, they're no better than you. They're not. They've just put in more time and more work than you, and you just have to do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Mindset's everything. I think it's really easy to get discouraged with this because, like I said, you're not getting that like recurring, consistent paycheck and your benefits, and there's a lot riding on it for people. Like, I know they've invested a lot, and I think comparison is truly the thief of joy. When you see these people that are making thousands their first month, or thousands their second month even, and you expect that for yourself, and that doesn't happen, it's really easy to get discouraged and think to yourself, oh, this doesn't work. It does work. You just have to keep going. It's just a matter of time and consistency. And I think a lot of people get stuck up on, well, I'm doing the same thing and I'm staying consistent. But my question is, are you improving what you're doing? Are you learning along the way? Or are you just doing the same thing over and over again that doesn't work?
Yeah.
So I think adapting and learning is also a really big part of that. But just, I know it's hard to say, just to stay encouraged. Whether that be positive affirmations. I tell myself positive affirmations every single day, whether they're money or wealth affirmations, or I don't know, self affirmations, just to like boost your spirits, because it does work. If you say them enough, your body will start to believe them, and eventually it'll become your reality over time. I'm a big believer in the law of attraction. So whatever you speak into your life, I believe, will eventually come to you if you want it and work towards it long enough.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it's kind of interesting what came up for me as you were saying that, which I love the quote about the thief of a comparison is the thief of joy, and several other things you said. But what's interesting about our community is that people will find a way to discourage themselves and talk themselves out of things no matter what, right? And let me give you an example of this. So I've been in many online communities where they had no success stories, interviewed nobody. There was nobody to look at and really to have practical examples. And the common complaint was, is anybody succeeding with this, right? Like, where are the testimonials? Where are the success stories? Where are the case studies? And then you come into a community like Legendary, which I'm the CEO. I'm interviewing our actual students who are putting their own hard-earned money out on the line. And there's obviously, as you saw with this interview, no scripting, no BS, just about as transparent and authentic as it gets. And I've done it 830 times. And we just really try to, have a real community here of people who can support each other. And a common complaint is, it's hard to watch all these people with success and not feel like I'm able to have the same. And it's just a great example that whatever you want to find, you will find it. If you want to find a reason not to do something, and you will find that no matter where you go. Whereas even if you went into the community with where the company or the owner of the course was showcasing no success stories and no testimonials, you could easily say, I will be the first, right? I'll be the first. In here, the same can be true with all of this success happening in so many examples, even outside of this community. See, we didn't invent these strategies. We didn't invent these business models. We're just teaching them because we use them. And the people who come into this community and say, I am loving the inspiration, I am going to learn from other people, I am going to listen to what they say about comparing myself to them, and I'm going to understand the journey of entrepreneurship is a very different journey than employment. You have a chance to succeed no matter who you are, where you come from, what age. But as you've said several times, and as we constantly talk about on the show, it is about your mindset. It is about learning. And that's why I ask guests about, what have you learned about yourself? Because this is a journey not just of making moolah and being entitled to money because you bought something, but of really finding out what you're capable of and trying hard things and following through. And that's what I think sticks out to me about the stories of success that I have heard so often, including yours, which is, if you want to do something and you set your mind to it, you do it, as you did with your previous businesses. And I know you'll be successful with this, not because of us, but because of who you are, right? Who you are and in you knowing what it takes to do this. So I hope that everybody that's listening to this really understands that we really create our own destiny with our attitude and how we view the glass, very simply half full or half empty. And there's always an excuse that we can make, but I learned early on in my entrepreneur career that you can either make excuses or get results, but you can't have both. You can't have both. They don't work hand in hand with each other. What advice would you give yourself if you were going back to your initial start? Even if we were to go back those 7 to 8 months that you watched, and what advice would you give as you were getting ready to get ready? What sticks out to you that you needed to hear that you now are able to say to your newer self if you could go back and sit next to Allison when she was just getting started?
Yeah, I think mostly just like, you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to have everything figured out at the beginning to begin. Like, a lot of people are crippled by that fear of like, what if, or what if I'm not good at this, or I don't know what to do. But you'll never know unless you just start. And I don't think there's any risk in starting and seeing how it goes. It's not like this huge jump right from the beginning to learn more information. How you were talking about mindset, and if you're looking for excuses, you'll find them. I was listening to this podcast the other day, and it was talking about like, while you're driving and you see like a wreck on the side of the road and you're watching it, you can like kind of notice that you're like drifting your car towards it, and then you'll look up and be like, oh no, because your mind is focused on that and you start gravitating towards it. So if you're constantly thinking of, oh, this isn't going to work out for me, or oh, I'm going to fail at this, or I'm not good enough at this, that's where you're going to end up. If you're going to go where your mind is thinking. If your mind is always thinking to the future, this is the life I'm going to have, this is what this is going to feel like, this is what I'm going to attain, this is how I'm going to get there, you're naturally going to go that direction.
Yeah, totally. So, you get more of what you focus on.
Yeah, exactly. Make a vision board. I have a vision board. It's set up as my laptop screensaver. I have it on my phone as my screensaver. I look at it every single morning of the life and the visions that I have for my future. And that's just how I start my day, seeing what future me looks like. And I'm working every day towards that.
Nugget. Love it. Allison, I know you're a busy entrepreneur and mom, so we'll get you out of here. Thank you for your time today. It's been incredibly informative, inspirational. I love that you are back in the entrepreneurship game, and I love that you've chosen to be a part of our community. You're a huge asset here, and I can't wait to have you back on the show and continue to hear about your journey, and maybe have you on our stages or helping us out, continue to share,
That's
your
on my vision board. That
love
one's on
it.
my vision board.
Love it. Well, I would love to have you. I can just tell that you have so much to offer, and you've demonstrated that really well this morning. And you've got a calming spirit and a wonderful way to articulate your thoughts. And so you've just got really big things ahead of you, I can tell. And so stay legendary, my friend, and I will talk to you really soon.
Thank you.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
All right, my friends, you can follow Allison over at that.money.mom. Okay, that.money.mom. Allison Self. What a powerful episode this morning, and just another opportunity for us to hammer on these points of you are in control of your destiny. No person, no course, no guru is going to be the end all be all. It's a collaboration of you helping or being in the mode to help yourself, and then getting the right information from the right people in the right environment. And so many great points, worth a re-listen, starting this week off with incredible guests, incredible episodes. Remember, you can always find us on all the major podcast platforms if you want to listen to just the audio, and re-listen to some of these episodes. On all the major podcast platforms, just type in Wake Up Legendary. You can also text WUL to 813-296-8553. WUL for Wake Up Legendary, WUL to 813-296-8553. And as always, my friends, we will be back here tomorrow for another episode, 5 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern time, right here on this Facebook page. We stream live, and then you can watch the replay on this Facebook page. You can watch all of the replays right here on this Facebook page. We also post them over to YouTube as well. And of course, take the audios and post them on all the major podcast platforms. That's an example, my friends, of repurposing content and getting the most out of every single thing that you say. We also take the clips of this and post short little snippets on to Reels and try to utilize the content as much as we can. So just practicing what we preach, eating our own cooking, as we do here at Legendary. We also don't create courses about, selling stuff on Amazon and drop shipping and doing all this. We're selling courses, coaching, events, and doing affiliate marketing, which is the core 4 business models that we show entrepreneurs how to utilize. And so again, eating our own cooking, 30th fastest privately held education company in America per Inc. 5000 this year. 2 years in a row on the Inc. 5000 list in the education niche. My friends, this is where it's at. We didn't invent the business models. People have been doing, consuming, and selling information for centuries. We are just doing it in 2023 and doing it damn good, along with some awesome people in this community, which you get to see showcased every single morning here on Wake Up Legendary. With that being said, my friends, it's that time to shine. Have a fantastic day. Be legendary. And we'll see you back here tomorrow for another episode. Get out of here. Peace.